It was only worth it to start dropshipping 4 years ago because nowadays dropshipping is dead. You're just selling cheap products from China. It's too saturated. It's way too competitive. Shipping times are too long. Look, these phrases, I heard them all 4 years ago and I still am hearing them today. And newsflash, selling things on the internet isn't going anywhere. And in fact, starting today is a far better time and far more lucrative time to start than when I first started 4 years ago. In this video, I'm gonna explain to you the #1 issue with dropshipping and the reason why all of these shitty excuses plague the industry, so that you can avoid being like the 99% that just sit around and make excuses and instead be like the 1% who build real, sustainable, and long-lasting e-commerce brands. Look, I've been doing e-commerce and dropshipping for over 4 years, doing multiple 7 figures in online sales, so I've seen it all. The reason people have all of these misconceptions about dropshipping is due to low product quality, scammy looking websites, long shipping times, and a myriad of other problems. But the craziest part is literally almost all of the issues and the misconceptions with dropshipping can be solved by just simply not fulfilling through AliExpress, otherwise known as the traditional dropshipping approach. And to be honest, though it is entirely possible to hit a gold mine of a product that is just so damn good it sells itself, and it does not matter that it takes 3 months to arrive damaged at somebody's house, if you pursue e-commerce this way, I can almost guarantee you that your success will not be long lasting. And instead of rags to riches, you'll go from riches to rags real quick. Now, these misconceptions is also what leads people to believe that dropshipping is some sort of party trick or get rich quick scheme or overnight success. But this could not be farther from the truth and is actually a very damaging perspective and way of looking at things. On top of that, it discredits everybody else who's trying to have real success and using the dropshipping fulfillment method as a lean approach to starting an e-commerce brand. Because that is exactly what dropshipping is. Look, dropshipping is not a business model, it's simply a logistics model. It is using the act of working with a third party to fulfill your orders and send them directly to your consumer so that you don't have to touch any inventory in between, and so that you can collect the revenues on the front end before paying for that product to get shipped to your customer, saving you so much time, risk, and money. I'll say it again, dropshipping is simply a fulfillment method that can be an amazing way to start your e-commerce brand. And look, so many massive companies have started off this way, such as Gymshark, Fashion Nova, or Movement Watches. And just before we jump into how to do things the right way, I have to give a huge shout out to my client at Outright Ecom, Brian, for finding his first winner and scaling it to $7,000 in a matter of weeks. He's now aggressively scaling up, and it's going to be super exciting to see where his brand goes. If you want to learn more about our free program or our one-to-one mentorship with myself and my head mentors, then it'll be the first link down below in the description. First off, AliExpress sucks. Do not think of it as your supplier, regardless of how many dropshipping tutorials have told you to do so. AliExpress ultimately fails to be a good dropshipping supplier because of poor product quality and long shipping times. Customers simply don't want to wait 3 to 5 weeks for their product to show up at their door. And I don't blame them. It's 2023 and we're living in the era of Amazon Prime, where they can literally order a product and have it delivered to their house on the same exact day. Not only that, but you'll actually be spending a lot more money and time dealing with all these customers who are constantly emailing and harassing you because the product still has not shown up at their door. They'll refund orders along the way, they'll open chargeback requests, which will lead to your payment processors getting shut down or holding all of your money, which basically makes it impossible for you to scale your brand. Another one of the largest issues with AliExpress is there's zero reliability. You do not have a proper relationship with your supply chain or your supplier at all, for that matter. You're simply fulfilling orders off of a crappy product page, and on top of all of that, AliExpress is taking 7% fees, which basically means that you're paying a heck of a lot more for the products than you actually need to. And if you had that money back in the business to reinvest, you'd likely be scaling much faster and beating your competition much quicker. And all of that right there, folks, is exactly why dropshipping has all of these misconceptions and gets a bad name in the space. So enough about AliExpress, you get the point. We now need to pivot towards the key benefits of why you should have a private supplier and how you can get your hands on one right now. First and foremost, you can fix the long shipping times issue. In many cases, working with the private supplier, you can have the product showing up at your customer's door in 2 to 5 days. This is because they'll typically have warehousing in your desired country. So if you're selling to people in the US, maybe they have a warehouse in the US where they're storing your product and they're able to send it to the customers at a much faster rate. On top of that, they'll be willing to negotiate with you for lower prices, cheaper shipping, faster shipping, especially over time as you start scaling. They'll become more and more lenient because they're making money. Remember, they want to make money just as badly as you do, you and they want to form an amazing relationship with you to do so. Another bonus of working with a private supplier is the potential later down the line for white labeling, custom packaging, adding logos to your packaging or your product, and potentially even iterating and improving the product before anybody in the space. At this point, you're probably saying, okay, I'm sold, but how can I actually go about getting my hands on my very own private supplier and working with them? And this can be a very tricky task if you don't know where to look, and there's so much misinformation surrounding it. Not to mention that many private suppliers are reluctant to work with dropshipping yet again because dropshippers have a bad name and also typically aren't pushing a whole lot of order volume. So these suppliers aren't necessarily financially incentivized to work with you as a complete beginner either. However, there are a few crucial methods that you need to employ if you want to increase your chances of working with a top tier supplier right off the bat. Firstly, if you want to find a supplier of your own, go on AliExpress, Alibaba, Made in China, contact every single supplier, and then you can do a sneaky little trick where you put in your WhatsApp number, but you leave a space between every single number inside of the messaging platform. The reason why you have to leave the spaces, and I figured this out on my own, is because AliExpress does not like when you try to send the supplier off their platform. Remember, they're collecting 7% fees when you make the transaction through their landing page, and they want to make as much money as possible. These suppliers are also going to be familiar with the niche, and you can immediately start talking to them and asking them key questions. Questions that make you seem more experienced and that make you seem like you're going to make them a lot of money. So like I said, they want to make money just as badly as you do. Some of the key questions you should be asking are, what is your cost per unit? What shipping options do you have and what are the costs associated? What are your minimum order quantity discounts? How many units can you produce and sell, aka what is your capacity? And if they have warehouses in certain countries, where are they and what are the picking and packing fees as well as inventory holding fees? But also I want to highlight, when you do this, when you're building your relationships, when you're talking to all these different suppliers, getting quotes and so on, you have to be so careful that you're not getting scammed. Look, early on in my journey, I sent a wire transfer of over $5,000 to a supplier that then immediately ghosted me and never actually shipped out the products. So don't say I didn't warn you, and always do your due diligence before sending money to people, especially when it's in the form of a wire or bank transfer. Try to use, a Stripe invoice link, PayPal, or something where you can at least have a chance of getting your money back when you're taking a shot in the dark. But also, if you've asked the right questions, you've hopped on a call, you've done lots of messaging, and you've vetted out the supplier to begin with, then you shouldn't be left in the dark and you should be proceeding with full confidence. If you urgently need private suppliers or sourcing agents, I've actually gone ahead and shortcutted your time by listing some of the top ones that I've worked with in the past below, such as Commercive and Zendrop. I'm actually friends with the owner of Commercive, who's an extremely credible and authority figure in the e-commerce space as a whole. Sam Jacobs, maybe you've seen his videos on YouTube, TikTok, and so on. This company is shaking up the fulfillment industry, and they actually have a private Discord community where you can talk directly with agents and work with a like-minded network of people. I also have a short list of other valuable suppliers inside my 100% free program. So like I said, if you want to shortcut everything, then just go there. Even if you're using some of my suppliers, I still recommend to seek them out yourself, because it's going to give you more leverage and negotiating power when you're discussing the prices of the products with a bunch of different suppliers at once, which you should always do, by the way. But it also allows you to build great relationships with the suppliers and manufacturers that can then lead you down the path of requiring other key resources that could potentially make you a lot of money in the near future. For example, a couple years ago, one of the first private suppliers that I reached out to, I actually found her on AliExpress by literally just scrolling to the bottom of a product page and hitting the contact button. I then remembered going onto WhatsApp and starting up the conversation. I started with a few key questions, and before I knew it, we were hopping on Skype calls almost every single night to discuss different products that I could sell. Because I was building an amazing relationship, not only in business, but as a friend with this person, they actually gave me key insights into what products are moving and selling from their factory right then and there. And I've talked about this method of product research before, which I've actually coined the supplier method. This thing is literally a gold mine. It's how I've been able to find 70% of winning products since I started 4 years ago. But that's it right there, guys. All this information is probably some of the most important and practical stuff that I've learned across my e-commerce journey over the past 4 years. So make sure you absorb it all. Go back if you have to. I'll also leave in the description below a comprehensive e-commerce guide from scratch, and this will include a massive section on supplier research. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in a few days. Peace.